Greetings everyone, welcome to another reading of The More Beautiful World Our Hearts Know Is Possible. If you notice there, I'm just showing you that all of the videos that I create now are on Patreon. Patreon is a great ongoing crowdfunding platform which enables all of the people that love these videos to support me with very small amounts of money, from $1, $2, $3 up to $10. And it enables me to not only give you gifts back, but share content with Patreon, my patrons only, and support me to buy and the equipment needed to continue this awesome quest that I'm on. You can head over there as and when you feel ready to. Okay, hello everybody who's following these videos of reading The More Beautiful World Our Hearts Know Is Possible. I've been a little bit slow on reading this chapter. We're up to chapter 10, which is hope. Hope, yes indeed. I'm going to read 2 chapters today and pick up where I left off. For all of you out there, if you would like these videos to continue, if you're really benefiting from me reading this book and you are enjoying it being read to you as opposed to just going out and buying it and reading the book yourself. Some people have said to me that actually reading this book has been hard for them. They haven't really jumped into it or been buzzing as much as some other people. So sometimes when you're read to, you hear it in a different way. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I think today's chapter is awesome because it's about hope. And when you look out in the world right now with all the information that we're being bombarded with, and the way that we look at humanity and the ever increasing population and the ever decreasing coral reefs and all different amount of stories and myths and fears, and the world's going to end, and now we got the next apocalypse, I suppose you could say, is the 6th extinction. Can't remember what it was in 2012. I think 2012 it was just going to blow up and be taken over by aliens, wasn't it? Something like that. In 2000 it was going to be just a whole wipeout of technology, if I remember rightly. So now we're moving into 2016 and 2017, and we got the potential wipeout of the planet based on the coral reef wiping out. And 2045 there's a potential that there will be no more fish in the sea. There's already so many species being wiped out daily because we're eating them or killing them or burning their habitats, and we're just on a mission. So how I see humanity at the moment is very much like a virus spreading across the whole planet, because we are just an organism after all. And some of us are diseased. And whether you choose as an individual to become part of the cure, to be a healing organism, or whether you choose to continue to suck the resources out of yourself and the planet and continue to create inner ecocides, thus outer ecocides, then obviously we're on a path to extinction anyway. And also alongside that, we're all on a path of death and leaving this body. So some schools of thought just say, hey, everything's happening as it should, and we will wipe out in due course, and let's not worry too much about it. I suppose I sit on the slightly other side of the fence, a bit of an optimistic change maker. I want to create more love, spread love, and tell the story that humanity actually woke up and through interbeing and through connection started to tell a new narrative, started to become sustainable, and started to tell a real, or not tell, but live a beautiful unfolding where we just moved beyond all futile suffering, conflict, stupid wars, pain body existence, and dived into our sovereign beings. But hey, as somebody quoted me recently, I'm a raging optimist. Ever the optimist is what I say. So here we are. Thanks to everybody that's been listening. Chapter 10, let's take it away. Hope. Another world is not only possible, she is on her way. On a quiet day, I can hear her breathing. And that's a quote by Arundhati, I don't know if I'm saying this right, Arundhati Roy. Hope has had a bad name these days among certain teachers. On one hand, it seems to suggest wishful thinking that distracts us from a sober assessment of reality and fosters unrealistic expectations. As Nietzsche put it, hope is the worst of evils, for it prolongs the torments of man. Meanwhile, in the language of spirituality, hope implies a rejection of the present moment, or perhaps a taint of doubt eroding the creative power of one's intentions. But let us not be so quick to dismiss this primal element of the human psyche. What does hope tell us? Springing eternally, as it so often does, like a flower alongside the desolate byways of despair. Admittedly, people often hope for absurd things that do block their experience of the present truth and their ability to respond wisely to it. The sick woman hoping the lump on her breast will just go away if she ignores it. The child hoping mummy and daddy will get back together again. Our society hoping the scientists will come up with a solution to climate change. However it is expressed, the emotional energy underneath hope is, it's all going to be okay. In a way, that is true, not because our worst fears won't come to pass, but because we become reconciled to them after they do. The woman will be okay, not because she ignores her lump, but because she acknowledges it and gets it treated. Or perhaps because she loses her breast and experiences a love and self-acceptance transcending her appearance. Or perhaps because of what happens in the dying process. Likewise, scientists already have come up with a solution to climate change. There are many solutions. They are right in front of our faces. Conservation, permaculture, renewable energy, simple living, bicycles, zero waste manufacturing, and so on. But only when climate change hits us in earnest are we likely to implement these solutions on a significant scale. Hope, however, shows us a destination, but a vast territory. The territory of despair lies between it and us. In the darkest despair, a spark of hope lies inextinguishable within us, ready to be fanned into flames at the slightest turn of good news. However compelling the cynicism, a childlike idealism lives within us, always ready to believe, always ready to look upon new possibilities with fresh eyes, surviving despite infinite disappointments. Even in the darkest moments of resignation to the old normal, our participation in it has been half-hearted. For part of our energy was seeking something outside the world as we have known it. From within the logic of the old story, hope is a lie, a hallucination of something impossible. But it comes from our innate idealism, our heart's knowledge of a more beautiful world. The beliefs that tell us that a more beautiful world is not possible a more beautiful world is not possible conflict with the heart that tells us it is. It is only when the scaffold of those beliefs collapses that hope need no longer clothe itself in the absurd. A new story of the world gives practical expression to the heart, knowing we call hope. Then it becomes authentic optimism. Our unreasonable hope is pointing us towards something true. That is why I call it herald. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn king. No, that's not in the book. This new story, because it embodies a different understanding of reality and of causality, also transforms our understanding of what is practical. From the story of interbeing, and if you don't know the story of interbeing, skip back a few chapters and listen to it. No longer does the knowledge of the heart that is important to take care of the 95-year-old mother-in-law conflict with the reason of the mind. The terms of reason have changed. Heart and mind need no longer be at odds. Their rapprochement is part of a greater trend. This fly wants trouble. Their rapprochement is part of a greater trend of reunion that is the healing of our world, encompassing the reunion of spirit and matter, discipline and desire, body and soul, money and gift, nature and technology, man and woman, the domestic and the wild, work and play, and life and art. So I'm going to read that again because this is a really important thing. Is that as we're moving out of the old story, old paradigm, whatever you want to call it, old narrative, moving into this new story of interbeing and interconnectedness and what I mentioned at the beginning, that's what we're looking for, a reunion that is the healing of our world. And it's encompassing the reunion of spirit and matter, discipline and desire, body and soul, money and gift, nature and technology, man and woman, the domestic and the wild, work and play, life and art. Each of these, we will understand, creates and contains the other. So it's like a real integration of a reunion and birthing of everything, you know, bringing everything together, a full integration, you could say, moving us out of separation, which is what union's all about. Even with this fly that's terrorizing me right now, union with the fly. No longer will we live in the illusion that they are separate. Perhaps most of my readers still have a lot of territory of despair to navigate before they can be fully grounded in the new story. I know I do. That's Charles saying he knows he does. Even so, as we emerge in fits and starts from that territory, we gain the faith and courage to do what the old story told us was futile. This understanding is liberating. So many people squelch the expression of their gifts by thinking that they must do something big with them. One's own actions are not enough. One must write a book that reaches millions. How quickly this turns into a competition over whose ideas get heard and whose don't. How it invalidates the small, beautiful strivings of the bulk of humanity. Invalidates, paradoxically, the very things that we must start doing en masse to sustain a livable planet. So I love what he's saying here, because I'm writing a book and have a number of others in my head, and we fall into comparison constantly, which comes from the old story. Competition and comparison comes from that old reality. So we sabotage ourselves and don't get the book and don't share our message with the world and don't speak our truth and don't start that video course, or don't do whatever it is that you listening to this are thinking about doing to spread the message of making a difference in the world or sharing the more beautiful story as you see it to be. Instead, you compare it how Charles Eisenstein's done it, or how Polly Higgins or Mark Boyle or anybody else out there that's leading the way in that way, whatever leading means, because there are no leaders in the new story. And then it stops you, it stumps you. So I love this part about hope, because it's bringing hope back to every one of us to stand up for what we see, stand up for what we believe in. So that old story paradoxically stops us, okay? So he says here, again and again, young people ask me something like, I really want to go into permaculture. That's what I love. But don't I have a responsibility to do something bigger than that? Charles answers, that choice is only small through the eyes of separation from the old story. From the perspective of interbeing, your choice is no more or no less important than any of the so-called presidents or anyone else out there doing big decisions. I wouldn't have probably personally used the word president, because I'm not sure the presidents are doing too much to help the birth of the new story of the people. But hey, it's just my perspective. So the logic of separation traps us in a paradox. The world can change only if billions of people make different choices in their lives. But individually, none of these choices make a difference. The things that make a difference make no difference. What if I do it and no one else does? It sure looks like almost no one else is. Why do it? Question mark. So I'm not actually suggesting that we do these small acts because they will in some mysterious way change the world, although in brackets, they will. I am suggesting rather that we orient more towards where our choices come from rather than where they're going. I'm going to repeat that because this was really good for me. We want to orient, which just means understand, get clear about where our choices come from, as opposed to where they're going. So are they coming from separation? Are they coming from fear? Are they coming from anxiety? And how is that going to direct them, and where are they going towards? Or are they coming from a more peaceful place? Are they coming from that interbeing? Are they coming from inclusion? Are they coming from that unity consciousness perspective? That's a really good question to get clear in this chapter on hope. The news story validates and clarifies our choices, but the motivation comes from somewhere else. After all, how can we really know what the consequences of our actions will be? Complexity theory teaches us that in the chaotic zone between two attractors, tiny perturbations can have huge, unpredictable effects. We are in such a place today. Our civilization is approaching a phased transition. Who can predict the effects of our actions? A police officer gives a pair of boots to an unshod homeless man, an invisible act of kindness. How could he know that someone was photographing him and that his very act, his simple act, would awaken kindness in millions of people? The man then sells the boots to buy drugs, inflaming the cynicism of millions more. Whether invisible or not, acts of great faith, acts that come from a stance deep in the territory of reunion, send powerful ripples out through the fabric of causality. One way or another, perhaps via pathways we are unaware of, they surface in the visible world. So just love that little simple story on how all of our acts, no matter how small we think they are, really are making a difference. The old cliche of smiling at another person and how it ripples out throughout the day, doing that little random act of kindness, they really are shifting the way that we interact as a human species. So don't stop them if you're listening to this. And if you've not done any for a while, let's keep them going. When my children were little, they attended a Montessori kindergarten. Never before or since have I encountered a school so vibrant with love, laughter, and gentleness. The teachers treated the children with deep, honest respect, never patronizing them, never coercing them, never manipulating them with disapproval or praise, giving them an experience of unconditional love. Those kindergarten days are now but a foggy memory to the children who went on from there into the harsh, degrading world of separation. But in my mind's eye, I see a small golden glow inside of them. And within that glow, I see a seed. It is the seed of the unconditional love and respect they received there, awaiting the moment to sprout and blossom and deliver the same fruit that my children received to those they touch. Maybe a year or two of kindergarten isn't enough to overcome the brutal apparatus of separation that governs modern childhood. But who knows when and how it might blossom forth? Who knows what effects it will bear? To be in a sanctuary of love and respect every day for 1 or 2 years during such a formative stage of life imprints a person with a tendency toward compassion, security, self-love, and self-respect. Who knows how that imprint will alter the child's choices later in life? Who knows how those choices will change the world? And there you go it. There you go it. There you go it. There you go. Beautiful people. It's a lovely chapter there from The More Beautiful World Our Hearts Know Is Possible. Underneath this video, you can see links to all the chapters I've read previously. Also a link to Charles Eisenstein's book itself, where you can read it online, or you can go over there and purchase it if you want to read it yourself. There's also a link to 2 conversations I've recorded on Simon on the Sofa, where I've had the pleasure of speaking with Charles. And if you would like more of these videos, leave a message, a comment below. It's always inspiring to know that people are enjoying them, because I've read the book. This is my 2nd time or 3rd time on some chapters. So it makes no real difference to me other than it's lovely to read it again. But if it sparks a little seed, lights one candle within somebody who's listening, maybe you're driving now listening to this on audio, wherever, maybe you're walking down the road, wherever you are listening to this, you're hearing my voice or seeing me speak, we're connected. We are part of that new story, that story of interbeing. We're sharing this so that the new narrative can birth within us. And it can dissolve outdated programs of separation, competition, comparison, a loneliness, not aloneness, but loneliness. So let's think about self-love, respect, compassion. Let's continue being that healing balm that walks in our own lives and then ripples out to the whole universe. And let's continue to play in this magnificent adventure. So as I said at the beginning, if you'd like to support more of these videos, go to the link on the Patreon page, which is simply patreon.com/SuttonOnSofa. Listen to the 3-minute video there that explains a little bit more about what I'm up to. And regardless of that or not, all these videos are always accessible online on YouTube for everybody to enjoy, because love at the core is free. There's no price tag on love. But in our current society that was built from foundation of fear and separation, we still are using monetary ways to engage. And who knows what new monetary ways are unfolding. The gift economy is showing us new ways to exchange. Many things I do are with that gift mentality. So enjoy this as a gift. Have an amazing day wherever you are in the world. Sending you love, your unique manifestation of life force. Live your greatness.